Hey guys, what's going on? It is Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. Today we are going to rank the top 5 rare champions inside the game. If you own one or more of these champions, congratulations, because they're all really good. Now before we move on to the top 5 list, I want to give out 4 honorable mentions, starting with War Maiden. So a lot of people rank War Maiden maybe in their top 3, their top 5. For me, it's right outside. She's really good, a really nice, decently high, I should say, base attack at 1321. Her speed is all right at 97. The real ability that she's known for is the AoE decreased defense debuff, which really helps out in any dungeons against any waves. She's pretty solid. If you look at her reviews, Arena, she's good as well, again, for that AoE defense down. She also has attack one enemy, get the increased attack on her. She can put out some decent damage as well, so she's a pretty versatile champion. She's a really good rare champion. Now, the next honorable mention is going to be Elaine. Now, Elaine, I want to do a full guide for. She has a high elf magic affinity. She is really, really good, and she hits hard. And look at her base speed, guys. Her base speed is 107. That is really, really fast, especially for a rare. And she hits really, really hard, especially on the A3, known for the Valley of Death attack. Attacks all enemies 2 times. That's a great AoE, especially for campaign farming, for dungeons. Elaine is good. She's also used inside the arena, especially in kind of up and through gold, even into, I don't know, some platinum. I've seen her before. She definitely can be used. You can see the reviews definitely reflect her overall utility. High reviews across the board. Next up in terms of honorable mentions is going to be Seducer. So Seducer is a rare void champion from Undead Horde. As you can see here, he is based on defense, his damage, so that is really, really good, especially from a rare. Seducer is really, really solid. Definitely can make a case that he belongs in top 5, maybe even top 3. He has a great kit too. You can see full 4 abilities with the aura. The aura gives an increased ally HP in all battles by 25%. That's pretty solid if you have nothing else to use. Defense is a little bit better than HP, but still, you can see his reviews here in arena, in campaign, everything 4.5 or higher for the most part. Not a clan boss champion necessarily, but you can get by with him. So what is he known for? He's known for basically having a unique kind of kit where he gives the attack down debuff and also gives the defense up debuff to all of your allies. And then, of course, he has the ally protection and the block damage in his kit as well. So a really, really good support. If you have him, definitely build him up and use him for campaign or for dungeons, trying to clear that level that you just can't get through. Next up is Fellhound. So Fellhound is a great champion. He is used all the way up until the end game in Fire Knight's Castle because of his A2. His A2 is Flameborn Vigor. What it does is places a reflect damage, which really helps burn through that shield of the Fire Knight on his AoE attacks. And he's good in spiders as well because he has the AoE on his A1, great in campaigns as well, and has a 25% of placing a 15% decreased speed debuff as well in the A1, and decreased speed is valuable against spiders. So those are the honorable mentions. Now let's move on to the top 5. I'm ranking Aethel as my number 5 champion inside the game in terms of rare. I think that I guess she's properly rated if you look at the reviews, but she's underrated by some in my opinion as well. She's really fast and she has a pretty unique kit that gives her an AoE, gives her some self-buffing as well. You can see the scores are very impressive for Aethel as well. She's great in Fire Knights because of her multi-hit. She's great in really across the board. She's a really solid champion. Let's take a look at her skills really quick. Strike down on her A1, attacks one enemy 3 times. Love that, paired with Giant Slayer, really solid. 75% chance of placing a 25% weaken debuff for 2 turns on the last hit. It gives her a little bit of versatility as kind of a, I don't know, an A tier option, B tier option against clan boss as well, unlike a lot of the other champions that we've talked about so far, right? Then on her A2, attacks all enemies, extra 15% chance of inflicting a critical hit. Okay, great. You can basically build her up with an 85% crit rate if you want to. And then on the A3, this is the self buff that I talked about. 25% increase attack buff on this champion for 2 turns. And then that can be booked down to a 4-turn cooldown as well. So half the time she'll have that increased attack. And then places a 30% increased defense buff on this champion if her HP is less than 50%. And then she gains an extra turn. Okay, so a self buff and then boom, it goes into a next turn. And then she has that AoE boom on the opponents. defense. Like I said, her base speed is pretty fast at 104, and her actual attack is not that high at 1189. So she's not pumping out a ton of damage in terms of her scalability, but still, she's incredibly versatile. She can be used everywhere, as you saw on the reviews. I think Aethel is a really solid damage-dealing champion with some element of sustainability as well if you build her correctly, meaning that as long as you're not putting everything into attack percentage on your Aethel, you still are giving her an HP somewhere, like on the chest, for example, an HP or defense, even better, and make her survive. She's going to put out that consistent damage to help you out, be a very reliable campaign farmer, and help you out in the dungeons as well, especially, again, Fire Knight. So Giant Slayer, it's really solid as well. Can use her in Clan Boss in early and mid game. Aethel is pretty good. That's why she comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is a Void rare champion. It is Bellower. Bellower is really solid, very popular in the game. You can see his rankings. He is definitely not a clan boss despite his debuffs. His debuffs are great for waves, right? He is a beast in Spider's Den and campaign locations, as you guys can see. He's good in Minotaurs. Basically anything, all the keeps, anything that has waves that you need to take out, he's a Void, so no bad affinity, no negative affinity matchups. He has an AoE on every attack. You can see the A1 has attacks all enemies, A2 attack all enemies, and A3 attack all enemies. So he's really cool in that regard, just a bunch of AoE, great for farming. He's not as high in attack and damage. He is a support champion after all, because he's also bringing a lot more to the table. A lot of people build their Bellower in stun sets too, to just give him that extra versatility, can make him an absolute terror to deal with in any dungeon if you're the AI opponent. So anyway, what does this kit do here? Attacks all enemies, has a 20% chance of placing a block cooldown skills debuff, and that can be booked up to 30% chance. And then on the A2, attacks all enemies, 50% chance of placing a 15% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Not too bad. That can be booked down to 3 turns. And then his A3 attacks all enemies. You can see every one of his abilities is adding something, adding a debuff to the table. You can see how this kind of snowballs into making him a very consistent debuffer on your team, right? Attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing a 25% decrease attack, 75% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. So again, you can book that as well, take it down to 4 turns, and make it all the way up until, what, 100%. On those debuffs. So really solid. He is a champion that you do, in my opinion, want to book, right? Want to use your books on. And he's a great carry. He's a great carry. And with the AoE helps you out as well, especially if you put him in that daze set or even better, that stun set like we talked about. So the only bad thing to say about Bellower, and this is just me being nitpicky, is all of his debuffs are the weaker version of the debuffs. So he's putting a 25% chance decrease attack, not 50. 30% decrease defense, not 50. So just kind of throwing that out there, but at the same time, he's still a monster. He does so many different debuffs that it's hard to even complain. That's why he comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, you could make an argument he is number 1. It is Kale, one of my favorite rare champions inside the game. So many of you guys undoubtedly rely on him, especially for Clan Boss, but he's really good basically everywhere in the game. He's the best starting champion, in my opinion, by a mile. We're talking like S-tier rares at this point, or SS-tier rares on the top 3 especially, even including Bellower, honestly. There's a separation in my mind between Aethel and these top 4. So let's talk about Kale. What makes him so good? Well, he has the weak version of poison on his A1. That's okay. That's pretty solid, right? But don't worry, he has the strong version of poison on his A3, on his disintegrate, and that attacks 4 times at random, has a 40% chance of placing a 5% poison, which is again the strong version, and that gets booked up to 50% chance. That's really good. He can stack some amazing poisons and do some incredible damage on Clan Boss. And then on his A2, it's a great AoE attack. Attacks all enemies, extra 15% of placing a critical hit, and then so you can build him out again to 85% crit rate if you want to. Fills the turn meter of this champion by 25% for each enemy killed. So again, against waves especially, this is insane. You can use Kale in the arena. You can use Kale basically anywhere, right? And his reviews definitely reflect that. Clan Boss a 4.9. We'll go ahead and give him a 5.2. He's just amazing in Clan Boss. Arena, awesome. Spider's Den, great. Campaign locations, S tier. Arena defense, I guess I can see why that's not the best rating for him. But otherwise, I mean, everywhere else except for Force Keep and Negative Affinity, he is really, really solid. Kale definitely deserves a place at the top of any the champion ranking list, let alone rares. Excuse me, kind of stuttering over my words. They're getting so excited about Kale. Let's go ahead and move in to the top 2 with number 2. So coming in at number 2 is Coldheart. Coldheart is so strong. Now Coldheart and the number 1 champion, I guess you could say the same about Kale, especially in dungeons, in Bellower and dungeons. But Coldheart is really like end game viable. So if you have her, congratulations. Invest in her because it's going to pay off all the way up until the end game of Raid Shadow Legends. So Coldheart, why is she so good? Well, let's just go right to it, right? Her Heartseeker is an incredible ability. It's based on max enemy HP, so she's going to be pulling off 1 million plus damage hits against Spider, especially Spider's 20, right? Especially if she has an increase, like any buffs on her, it doesn't even matter. A decreased defense on the Spider, she's putting up over 1 million almost every time with the Heartseeker. It's incredible. Not only is it doing all that damage, but it also decreases the target's turn meter by 100%. Again, insane against spiders. Keep that spider from healing up. Just really, really good ability. I can't say enough great things about Heartseeker. Has an extra 30% chance of inflicting a critical hit, so you can build her to 70% crit rate. Damage increases according to enemy max HP. So the enemy max HP is really where Coldheart shines. Now going on to the A2, Art of Pain. Attacks all enemies. AoE attack, 30% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 1 turn, and then places a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns on all targets under heal reduction. So the heal reduction is on the A1, 4 times at random, with a 25% chance can be booked up to 35 of placing that heal reduction. Really, it's all about the Heartseeker on Coldheart. It's really, really solid. Coldheart's a beast in Dragons, in Spider, in Clan Boss. You can even use her. She's not so good in the arena. She's not an arena champion at all. Ice Golem, she's just all right. And yeah, I feel like you can use her in Ice Golem though. I think she's great still, personally. I think Coldheart is definitely the number 2, for me at least, the number 2 rare champion inside the game. Let's go ahead and move on to number 1. Yeah, that's right. It's Apothecary. Apothecary is so incredibly good, guys. And when you look at his kit sometimes, you don't even realize just how good he is. Incredibly effective champion, definitely endgame viable. He can be used in Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. He is used on Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss. Let's talk about his kit. I mean, he's used everywhere. Arena, he is used. Let's take a look at his reviews first. Clan Boss 4.8, Fire Knight. He's great with the 3 hits on his A1 for Fire Knight. Arena, Campaign, Miniatures, Labyrinth, everywhere, right? I mean, everywhere except for Spider's Den, but still, I mean, if you need that speed, you can use him in Spider's Den. You can use him everywhere, guys. So let's go ahead and talk about his kit. So again, the 3 times at random on the A1. He has the heal, the big heal on the A2, so great for spot heals. He's not going to be carrying your entire team in terms of support, but he's great for healing up with a nice big heal on his A2. And then the boon of speed is what it's all about. Can be booked down to 3 turns, guys. 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. Now that increased speed that he casts, unlike your speed artifacts, that is not going off their base speed, that's going off their total speed. So it's an insane speed boost by 30%, and you can basically always keep that up. Well, you can keep that up 2 out of 3 turns, right? And if you build your Apothecary really, really fast, you can always keep that speed buff up on a lot of your allies. So just that speed is so incredible. Also has the 15% turn meter boost built into that. So just, he's going to keep your team going, keep your team attacking more often, and you build him to be really fast. That way he's constantly healing, he's constantly has those speed buffs, and he's just so good. He's one of those champions, right, that you take out of your team. and then you notice how good he is. That's how you notice the value of Apothecary. Honestly, I've done that so many times where I've been like, let's try out a team without him. Let's put in whatever, right? And then I'm like, oh man, I need him back. I need him back because he's so good. Your team just performs so much better across the board, not just with his heals, but all that speed. It snowballs. It's incredible. So Apothecary is, in my opinion, actually maybe not far and away. Yeah, far and away, the best rare champion inside Raid Shadow Legends. If you don't have him, hang in there. You'll get him eventually. He's fairly easy to get. He's not a void champion like Coldheart or like Bellower. So, guys, good luck. Congrats if you have him. And I'm sure if you do have him, then you recognize just how strong he is. Let me know if you like this video kind of ranking the top 5 in a specific rarity. I'll go ahead and do one maybe for legendaries and for epics. And maybe we can do some, like maybe a twist and do like a top 5 gear sets or something like that as well. So guys, hope you enjoyed the content. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content, go ahead and subscribe, guys. It means a lot. Thank you. And as always, take care, guys.